Hello, it's Monday night. Gosh, we've had quite an exciting US trading session with the news that the Commodity Futures Trading Commission are suing Binance Holdings, which is CZ's big crypto derivatives exchange, for letting Americans trade crypto derivatives. There is no accusation that Binance is stealing customer money or using it to make big bets, which makes it look better than FTX. In fact, there's no accusations that Binance are laundering money for terrorists. There are a few little accusations that they are trading against their customers. But as crypto exchanges go, that's pretty good. I spent a lot of time reading this case, and the main case is about letting US customers trade these derivatives, futures and options basically. In the US, it's illegal to run a derivatives exchange without registering it with the CFTC, and it's not very easy to do that. So none of the crypto exchanges have done that. And what they do for US customers is they advise them to get a VPN, and they do a separate Know Your Customer, and they make them do a separate Know Your Customer which doesn't mention the US at all, to get around it. So the complaint alleges that there was a couple of companies, and they put in a new API in their trading exchange to block US IP addresses from trading on their derivatives exchange. And the problem was that it blocked a couple of really important customers. So CZ had a whole group of salespeople and VIP handlers whose job was to court Chicago and New York high-frequency trading firms. These firms use algorithms, computer programs, to trade as market makers, and they are the number one reason that there has been such a change in how these markets trade. When they run the stops or reverse, or when it's choppy. Crypto used to be really nice, simple trading, and then the advent of all these high-frequency trading firms really changed the nature of the market. So let's go back to where we were. So Binance had put in an API in October 2020 that stopped these high-frequency trading firms, or stopped anyone with an US IP address, from trading on their derivatives exchange, to try and make sure that they, would stay out of the reach of the US regulations, compliance control. And this complaint alleges that there was one customer that was 15% of all the volume on, it was a top 5 client, one of the top 5 traders on Binance, and 12% of their daily volume couldn't get through because of the API. And they have the email exchange where Binance told them to submit a new application, new KYC, use a subsidiary offshore, use a VPN, all this kind of thing. And so this is how they've got them for doing that. So there's a couple of other allegations as well, but basically these are quite sophisticated firms. I think if they wanted to continue to trade offshore, they're going to find another way to do it. But at the moment, basically, it looks like the US do not want US firms with access to or trading crypto, whether they're high-frequency trading firms or whatever. And, this is part of a much, much bigger crackdown. In February, US banking regulators gently suggested that US banks should be careful about crypto deposits. And then suddenly, in March, they shut down all of the banks that were doing anything with crypto. Last week, the SEC dropped a hint that Coinbase might be illegal, and we've got 30 days till we find out if that happens. So it looks like they're really clamping down. The problem is with the USA is if you do anything with a US customer or anything in dollars, anything, to be honest, if you do any transaction anywhere in the world in dollars, they can get you for wire fraud in the USA. So these regulatory moves, they look like investor protection, but they're not really. This is a much bigger crackdown going on. I don't know how it ends, but I do know that this is not necessarily the end of Binance. but there's certainly, it's not looking good for Binance USA. So I'm going to say again, Binance is by far the biggest firm. Do not have all of your trading assets in Binance, just in case. I think we're going to see we could see another run on the bank. Like if everyone decides to get their money out of Binance, they might, it might be tricky. So be careful. I don't want to spread panic and get everyone to get their money out. But if everyone else does that, there could be a problem. I think that they had a big run on them, earlier before, in February, and they survived it. So, and they survived the collapse of FTX. So, I think they're sound. Like they're not stealing your money, and there is no big black hole. But any firm, if everybody wants their money at once, there could be a problem. And the whole financial world is kind of interconnected. Now they're coming for Binance, okay? We've been warned. There's also a little bit about, apparently Binance has on its own platform 300 house accounts, all directly owned or indirectly owned by CZ. Also Merit Peak and Sigma, all trading on his own platform. That's a no-no. You're not allowed to have an exchange. Say, you're just the facilitator running in the exchange, and then have 300 accounts trading against your customers, because you have knowledge about what your customers are doing, where they're putting their stops and their orders that no one else has. So apparently Binance has its own proprietary trading quant desk. So, they're all trading against us. This is why we have to be really disciplined and careful about our trades. And the other thing is, of course, they don't tell you. So I think it's they might almost have got away with it if they said, that they were trading on the exchange as well. The US regulators require them to do that. So what does this mean? It means that we didn't have a big breakdown day in stock indexes. Here we are going sideways. It does look very toppy here in these stock indexes, but we didn't have the big breakdown. And in fact, the dollar broke down, which normally should have been, here's our down day in the dollar, should normally have been positive for crypto. But of course, this Binance news meant it wasn't. So here's Bitcoin, here's our big level. If this is going to just be an ABC correction, we're kind of not far off where that is. Are we here? Like this. We've stopped at the equal measured move, 26,570. We said 26,600, I think, was support. If that breaks down, we're going to go further. If we are measuring the target for this as a diamond, it's from the breakdown level. So you go equal for the widest point of the diamond to the breakdown level, and that gives us our 25,200 level for the equal measured move for the diamond target. And that's quite important, because that's also these kind of previous highs. There's really good support and resistance here. If we go out to the daily, that is also the neckline. 25,200 is the neckline of our head and shoulders pattern. So there's a lot to like about that level, isn't there? So 26,000 and then 25,200 would be where we're looking for. Now, 25, don't sniff 26,000, because that's also the daily 20 moving average, and we could quite handily bounce from there. We've done it before. So that's where we are in Bitcoin. It's not a disaster. It's not the end of the world yet. This is really about these big, I can see why the CFTC, doesn't like it either. And I can see that there's a lot of firms, like the CME will not like those big Chicago and New York trading firms trading on Binance offshore. They would much rather they were trading on their exchange, because they will get the fees. So there will be a lot of people in the US out to stop this, who would be very happy to see Binance shut down. And of course Coinbase, they're going after them for something else, aren't they? For the securities with all the tokens. So that's where we are tonight. Let's look at some of the other coins. So we've hit an important ABC potential, ABC level in Bitcoin, and we're looking for lower if it breaks. So let's just mark our levels here. It's also a little bit of a swing failure pattern, isn't it? Topping pattern here going on in Bitcoin. So we know if this level breaks, if these lows break at 27,000, 26,950 really, that we're looking for lower for 26,000 and maybe 25,200. And potentially this is just an ABC correction that we've completed with an equal measured move. If we take a look at Litecoin, which is quite a good leading indicator, we've got a very similar pattern going on. So here in Litecoin, here's our first swing lower, ABC for the B leg, and here's our C leg. It's on the 4-hour 50 moving average, and if we measure highs lows, this is also exactly the equal measured move here at 87.86. And what's cool about this, same for Bitcoin, is that the 61.8 therefore becomes our bull bear line, and that's at 90.56. So a close back above 90.56 would say this ABC correction is done and we are on our way higher again. So 90.56 is going to be where we'll be looking for Litecoin. That bull bear line in Bitcoin, if we go back to Bitcoin, let's do it in the futures. Actually, no, let's do it in the spot just in case there's a price discrepancy, which there sometimes is. So here I'm going to go to the hourly chart of Bitcoin. We're going to put on our high to low to here. Here's our equal measured move level, 26,571 and 27,430, which is also the hourly 20 moving average, is our bull bear line. If we trade above that, we are going up again. 27,430. Okay, let's take a look at, so Litecoin potentially also on a big ABC level. A lot of other altcoins not looking so happy, but we'll talk about some of them. First off, let's take a look at ADA. I looked at ADA. I'm going to start big picture in ADA. Looking at the whole big sort of 2020, 2021 rally. Because that's when my fibs are, from this low to this high. And I like these fib levels in ADA because they all were respected. It was a bit messy at this 236 fib, but this 38.2, the 50%, the 61.8 and the 786 were all really sharp as levels from above and the other side. And so I think personally that ADA's got a little bit further to fall to this 886 level, and I'm wrong if we get back above this 786. Now that's kind of quite a long way from where we are, isn't it? So 1656, this is ADA Bitcoin. ADA will be going up against Bitcoin, and ADA has further to fall against Bitcoin, and I'm looking for 1,069. So not outperforming Bitcoin yet, but I think we could see an ABC correction here. Had a sharp rally. This is pretty choppy overlapping pullback here on the daily. So I would kind of draw this as a channel and say here on the 4-hour or on the hourly, a breakout from this declining channel that we're in, or back above these hourly moving averages, and we're going up again. If we look at ADA US dollar, okay, so we go back to the weekly. We'll do our big, of course we're at new lows in this one. Now, when I have a chart like this, it's kind of irrelevant to put the big 236 fib on for the whole swing. So I tend to use initially the most recent swing, which for here feels like ABC. I'm going to see, I know I've drawn it right if I get a reaction at the 236 fib. And I think that this is what we've got here with ADA. So this is what they say when you're coiling up. So I put my fibs on high. This 50% level and these previous lows here were resistance. We couldn't get above them. And now we pull back 50% going the other way. And so this is what you mean by coiling up. So 50% rally isn't a bullish reversal, it's just a reversion to mean. Here we've pulled back to the 50% and bounced, and now if we go the other way, we couldn't get above that 50% level. In fact, I think we got a little bit higher, we got 61.8. So we're doing that sideways thing. So still, unfortunately, if we look at on the weekly, it's not a weekly close above it. Still coiling up and corrective moves. Furthermore, if I do look at this swing here in ADA, this was a textbook equal measured move, wasn't it? So this swing and this swing were equal. Back underneath this 61.8 means we're in a bigger move, and that normally means for a big ABC at least the 786 fib, if not new lows. And when I put the fibs on like this, these look like they're working. It's a little bit messy, but let's say we're underneath this 50% level, so I would be looking for 0.33, but more likely, I think, by the time we finished, 0.3171. That would be 786. But always, you know, fib levels are like a staircase. So if you drop underneath one, but then you get back above it again, you kind of turn around. So ADA, I'm afraid, has a little bit further to fall in this pullback, not quite done yet. Now, if I go back to the daily and we look at ADA, because I like this, like it looks quite impulsive, but then you need a 3-wave correction. So here we're looking for 0.3171, aren't we? Now, if I was to measure this as an A, this is clearly a B leg and a C leg, where would that give us close to 0.3171? 0.3113. So for me, ideal support to be looking to get in on ADA is between 0.3113 and 0.3171. So 0.31XX is where we're going to be looking for ADA to find support. And if we don't, of course, we're going to do the bigger ABC and it will be down to 0.26. So this was an ABC correction. This is where I think the support is, around 0.31. Okay, let's take a little look at a couple more that first off I think might be interesting charts. So first off is Ripple. So there's a few coins, not many of coins in the last 24 hours have outperformed, but Ripple was one of them. Problem is that with Ripple we haven't broken out. Here was our resistance zone that we talked about this morning, so there is still a chance that if we don't make a new high here in Ripple, that this is A and then a funky B leg and we see another leg lower sideways. So I'm going to be a little bit cautious if I have my Heikinashii on. Looks pretty good, but yeah, I still think that we could see a bigger pullback here. Now again, we'll measure first swing lower. I'm going to put it from the top of my correction here. 0.437, and again retest the lows around 0.4 could be where we come back to. So I don't know if Asia's gonna, Andrews thinks that Asia's gonna wake up and nuke us. Should we short ETH? I still think ETH against Bitcoin looks a bit ropey, but hasn't actually broken down yet. Everything's kind of fallen together today, hasn't it? So pretty much everything is falling together. But if this triangle consolidation breaks down, and if they normally break with the trend, then yes, there is a nice short here in ETH against Bitcoin against the dollar. Let's take a look at so Ripple. I think unless it makes new highs, there's a danger of another legs lower. So Hex, we talked me, and I'm not a big Hex fan. I think the guy's, interesting. But let's talk about why this chart is interesting. Here is Hex. Hex dollar we're looking at. So, big decline, 50% rally. Okay, whenever you have a market that retraces 50%, you're always looking for 50% the other way, and that's that's the level we're at. 0.0746 is 50% pullback. So from this low to this high. So here, this is where we should be looking. There's also some pretty nice support and resistance around here as well, from this high and from this kind of double top level as well. So 0.0746 in Hex US dollars, where I'm looking to see if we can find support. And we've also got the 4-hour 200 moving average. Is that a good moving average? Well, when I look left in this coin, actually it isn't bad at all, is it? Resistance, 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 then support, support, double bottom. So a bit messy here. So I'm not saying buy it. I'm saying let's watch closely to see if it makes a bottoming pattern, like a double bottom, flattens out, and see if it bounces from here. This is not something I would put in my portfolio and hold forever. This is just a simple trade. And where is our target going to be? It's going to be from this high to this low 50%, which means 0.102 is our target. At the moment, if it goes a little bit lower before it turns higher, obviously that will change slightly. So I think Hex at a level where it might bounce. One of the best performing coins right now, the last 24 hours, has been GMX, apart from Ripple. GMX has been a pretty nice performer. Let's talk about what's going on with GMX. So first off, here's a daily chart of GMX. Now, we had a lower high here, so it means it entered a correction. When you have a lower high, I've measured from this high to this low, projected it from here. This is the 61.8 level, and also pretty nice bullish reversal candle, isn't it? False breakdown, big reversal day. It's not quite enough to be super bullish. More super bullish would be a close back above this daily 50, which is pretty good support. So we need to close back above that daily 50, which is at 72.66, and we need to close more than 50% up on this big red down candle. And if we can do that, I think that we're going higher. We're already more than 236 up from this high to this low. Here's what I mean. We put this high to low on. Here's our 236 fib. So 70.25 is pretty good support. If we went back underneath it, I'd be dead wrong. And you can see 72.70 is that 50% level, and also the daily 50. So I'm watching to see this one, if it can creep a little bit higher, because potentially it's completed a big ABC, and it could be an irregular fourth wave. So we go 1, 2, 3, this is 4, and then we're looking for a fifth wave, and they can extend quite a long way. So that's why I'm looking at GMX. Got a little bit higher to do the business to get me excited. 72.70 is what I'm looking for. Let's look at this like this. It's not really it, is it? Sometimes the wave too gives you. Anyway, so for targets, if we keep going higher here, I'm going to measure the wave 1, and I'm going to project it from the end of here, which would be here. So we'd be looking for 99.3, 108, and maybe 120 if we can make a new high. We need to go step by step though, really, with these fib levels from here, and we've really got to get back above these daily moving averages. But if we do in GMX, I think we could see quite a decent move. Okay, so that's what I am looking at tonight. Just remember, Hex isn't something you want to get married to, I don't think. Well, it's got a huge army. Okay, if there's anything else you'd like me to look at, I will be back in the morning. And trade carefully tonight. Let's see what Asia makes of this Binance news. I'm hoping that Asia sees it like, oh, well, you know, they can't shut down Binance in the rest of the world. It might mean the end of Binance and these high frequency trading firms in the US. Now, remember, if one firm was 12% of Binance's volume, and imagine there were like 3 or 4 of them, you can easily see how those US trading firms could be 50% of Binance's trading volume. So that is quite a big hit. Let's see. Interesting times, isn't it?